Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are going to unpack the quiet, haunting mystery of the poem Abbey House Gallery.
So, here's our plan. We're going to start with a full reading to get a feel for the poem. Then, we'll dig into the big mystery. Who is talking to us? We'll hunt for clues, figure out the exact moment the poem reaches out to you, peek inside the poet's process, and finally, talk about the ideas that stick with you long after you're done reading.
All right, first things first. Before we start dissecting this poem, let's just experience it. Let the words and the atmosphere just kind of wash over you.
Well, this is quite beyond comprehension. I slipped into soft sleep and awoke here, after hours, in Abbey House Gallery.
Gracious heavens, something is quite amiss. That's my oval mirror, and that's a tintype of me, and what is this? A card on my writing desk says, "Price available upon request."
How peculiar. My armoire's over there, and I can read that sign in the window. Don't miss it. Estate sale, Friday, 9 until noon. This does not bode well.
How may this shadowed moment ever spring from sleep? Perhaps you can sense me ensconced within a display case after hours at Abbey House Gallery.
Okay, wow. That poem just drops you right in the middle of this confusion, doesn't it? Which naturally leads us to the biggest question of all.
So let's put on our detective hats. The whole poem is basically a trail of breadcrumbs, and if we follow them, I think we can piece together what's going on. You know, the first big clues we get are all about the vibe, right? The language, the specific things our narrator sees, they're all there for a reason. They're meant to make you feel a little off balance.
I mean, take a look at this list. Nobody really says gracious heavens anymore, do they? Or that something does not bode well. And then you've got the objects, an oval mirror, an armoire. It all just screams Victorian, doesn't it? It's not just old-timey, it's got this heavy Gothic feel to it.
And this one, the tintype, this is the smoking gun, really. It's not just any old photo. A tintype pins our speaker to a very specific period, the 1860s to the 1880s. So we have a timestamp. This person is from the Victorian era, and that makes their situation so much more, well, terrifying.
So what the poet is doing here is using a classic trick right out of the Gothic playbook. They're taking all these familiar, personal things, my mirror, my desk, and dropping them into this cold, impersonal setting of an estate sale. And that mix of the familiar with the terrifying, that's what literary folks call the sublime. It's that feeling of awe mixed with pure dread, and it's something writers like Anne Radcliffe were absolute masters at.
Okay, so for the first few stanzas, we're basically just listening in on someone's internal monologue. They seem totally alone, lost in their own head. But then, in that last stanza, everything changes.
The speaker asks this question, and it's so desperate. How may this shadowed moment ever spring from sleep? At first, you think they're just asking themselves, screaming into the silent gallery.
And then, bam, perhaps you can sense me. Chills, right? That one line completely shatters the fourth wall. Suddenly, they know someone is there. They know we're there.
Yeah, that's the big twist. This isn't just a story we're reading anymore. The speaker is talking directly to you. We've gone from being a safe observer to being part of the scene. The ghost has noticed us, and suddenly we're kind of stuck in that gallery with them. It's an absolutely brilliant move.
Now, a move that powerful doesn't just happen by accident. And what's really cool is we can actually peek behind the curtain and look at the poet's drafts. We can see exactly how they engineered this effect.
Okay, so check this out. The first line originally started as, "Hello, fair one," which is pretty direct, but they changed it to, "Well, this is quite," which throws us right into that feeling of confusion. It's way more effective. And the ending? The original line was, "I am watching you from," which is almost threatening. But changing it to, "Perhaps you can sense me," transforms the speaker from a scary presence into this faint, pleading whisper. It's just so much creepier and sadder.
So all this careful craftsmanship leads us to a really cool question. Who, or what, is actually speaking? Is it a ghost, the spirit of the person whose stuff is for sale? That totally fits. But what if it's an object? What if the tintype itself is the one that's woken up? The poem is written so cleverly that both interpretations actually work.
And you can see how people have picked up on this. One reader, for example, saw it as a classic dramatic monologue, which basically means they heard the voice of a ghost speaking its innermost thoughts.
But then, someone else read the exact same poem and came away with a totally different take. They thought it was the painting itself speaking. And that's the mark of really great poetry, isn't it? It's not about finding the one right answer. The ambiguity is the whole point.
So, when you boil it all down, what is this poem really about? Beyond the ghost story, it's making us think about our stuff, and the stories our stuff tells long after we're gone.
You know, the real tragedy here isn't just about dying. It's about seeing your life, your whole identity, all tied up in your belongings, just being tagged and sold off to the highest bidder. Imagine everything you are being reduced to a price tag. Available Friday, 9 until noon. That's the real horror.
And that's the question the poem leaves you with, isn't it? It's a heavy one. If all your stuff was all that was left to you, what story would it tell about your life? It definitely makes you look around at your own things in a completely new and maybe, just maybe, a slightly unsettling light.